What I will tell you today is the story of how I discovered that I am gay and fell in love with my wife's brother. As I mentioned, I had a wife, but as time went by, my tastes changed. Stay until the end to know this story. So make yourself comfortable, and we invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the little bell so you don't miss any video. When I first met Sophia, I thought she was everything I had been looking for in a partner. She was charming, funny, and above all genuine. After 2 years of a relationship, we were married in an intimate ceremony that felt like something out of a fairy tale. My family adored her, and her family welcomed me with open arms. Everything seemed perfect, but as I later discovered, life has strange ways of revealing who you really are. I met David, her younger brother, at one of the first family gatherings. David was charismatic, with an energy that filled any room. He was different from Sophia in many ways. While she was quiet and unassuming, he was bold and outgoing. For the first few years, my relationship with David was completely normal. We shared jokes, played soccer at family picnics, and had long conversations about trivial topics. But over time, I began to notice things about him that confused me. A laugh from him could light up my day, and his presence gave me an uneasiness that I didn't know how to explain. At first, I ignored those feelings. I convinced myself it was simply admiration or respect. But as I spent more time with David, those thoughts became more frequent. There was something about the way he was, the way he looked, that made me question everything I believed about myself. Are you liking the video so far? If so, leave us a like and subscribe. Let's continue. One day during a family gathering, Sophia asked me to help David with something in his apartment. They were organizing an event and needed to move some furniture. When I arrived, David was shirtless, sweating from the work that had already progressed. Something as simple as that scene disarmed me. I felt my heart pounding and a sense of nervousness I had never experienced before. I tried to act normal, but every second alone with him felt charged with an energy I couldn't ignore. That afternoon, as we rested after moving everything, David offered me a beer and we started talking. The conversation, as always, flowed naturally, but this time he opened up in a way he had never done before. He told me about his insecurities, his dreams, and how he sometimes felt like he didn't fit in with the family. I listened attentively, surprised by his vulnerability, and by the fact that I felt an irrepressible desire to comfort him, to be close to him. From that moment on, something changed. Our interactions began to take on a different tone. The jokes were more intimate, the glances longer and more meaningful. I found myself looking for excuses to spend time with him, and he seemed to have no problem reciprocating. One weekend, Sophia was away for work, and David invited me to his house to watch a soccer game. At first it was casual, as usual, but when the game was over, we were silent, and he looked at me in a way he had never done before. "Are you okay?" he asked, noticing my nervousness, and without thinking, the words came out of my mouth. "I don't know. It's always different with you." David didn't answer right away. He slowly moved closer and, in a low but firm voice, said, "I'm sorry too." Before I could react, his hand brushed mine, and in that instant I knew there was no turning back. We kissed, a gesture filled with emotion and a truth we had both been denying for far too long. Before we go on, we invite you to like and subscribe. Let's continue. That kiss changed everything. After that night, we started seeing each other in secret. Every encounter was a risk, but also a release. I felt that for the first time I was being honest with myself. But at the same time, guilt towards Sophia consumed me. Not only was I betraying her, but I was also breaking the trust of someone who had never done anything but love me. Time passed, and keeping our relationship hidden became more complicated. Sophia began to notice that something was wrong. I wondered why she was spending so much time with David, why she seemed distant. I tried to justify myself, but I knew I couldn't fool her forever. The day of truth came during a family gathering. Sophia approached me with a serious expression and asked me to speak to me privately. At that moment, I knew she had discovered something. "What's going on between you and David?" she asked me directly. Her tone was firm, but also filled with hurt. I tried to deny it, but her look made it clear to me that there was no point in lying. As I tried to muster up the courage to answer him, my mind flooded with memories of all the times I had felt his suspicious gaze. I remembered the indirect questions, the awkward moments when I avoided answering. It was then that I realized that, in reality, she already knew the truth. My silence would only confirm what her heart feared. "Why, Matteo, how could you do this to me?" she finally said, breaking the silence with a voice full of pain and pent-up rage. "I gave you everything, I trusted you, and you repay me like this, with my own brother." I tried to explain, but every word out of my mouth seemed like an insult to her feelings. "Sophia, I never planned for this to happen. I fought against it. I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't keep living a lie. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." "What does 'I'm sorry' mean now? Do you think that fixes anything?" Sophia was on the verge of tears, but she kept her gaze fixed on me, as if searching for a reason to understand the incomprehensible. I felt a lump form in my throat. There were not enough words to justify what I had done. My betrayal had not only shattered our relationship, but had also broken his trust in the people he loved most. At that moment, David entered the room. The tension was palpable, and the silence that ensued when they both looked at each other was almost unbearable. "Sophia," he began, but she immediately interrupted him. "I don't want to listen to you, David. How could you do this to me? You're my brother, for God's sake. Didn't this mean anything to you? Don't forget to subscribe and like for more content like this. Let's continue." David tried to explain, but she wouldn't listen. She was hurt, and we both knew it. There were no excuses, only a deep emptiness that now divided what was once a united family. Finally, Sophia left the room without another word. I stood there, feeling smaller than ever, as David put a hand on my shoulder in an attempt to comfort me. But even his touch could not ease the weight of what had just happened. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of emotions and difficult decisions. Sophia decided to stay with her family for a while I faced the consequences of my confession. Some people supported me, arguing that at least I was honest in the end. Others accused me of being selfish and cruel, and in a way, I understood both positions. David and I decided to give ourselves some time to think about what we really wanted. Although there was love between us, the damage done to Sophia was too great to ignore. We both knew that, if we were going to be together, we would need to face not only our own fears, but also the disapproval and judgment of those around us. I confessed everything to him. It was the hardest conversation of my life. Sophia cried, screamed, and accused me of destroying her confidence and her family. And she was right. There was no excuse for what I had done. But I also explained to her that I could no longer live a lie, that what I felt for David was real and that I could not ignore it. The news caused an earthquake in the family. Some supported me, understanding that I had been honest in the end, while others condemned me for the betrayal. David also faced the consequences, but together we decided that what we had was worth fighting for. Today, my relationship with David is public, although the scars of what happened with Sophia are still there. I have learned that the truth, though painful, is always better than living a lie. And although my path to self-acceptance was complicated and full of mistakes, I wouldn't change anything that led me to be where I am now, living an authentic life next to the man I love. If you liked the video and this content brought you value, leave us a like and share it with your friends so they don't miss it.